I stink. I'm a stinky boy.
You stink?
I didn't shower since we ran yet today. I just ran and then went right back to work. So
Don't use Charleston Heston's dressing room to shower.
jeez.
All the
Okay.
Friends people, you get that reference?
Hey everybody, welcome to We Watch TV, the podcast about the TV that we watch. I am Daniel, she is Hope.
And he stinks.
I stink. This is episode 40.
I smell like a meadow.
What's a meadow smell like?
Like a beautiful meadow.
Well, what's that? Describe that to me.
Dove body wash.
Okay.
Anyway, episode 40! Can you believe it's episode 40?
We're almost to a year, actually. We're closing in. We're 12 episodes away.
It's crazy. Dramatic pause.
Long pause.
That's what we get. We don't have show notes today
We
either.
have no show notes. We are flying free. I am
Flying
excited about it.
free.
I love just winging it because that just gives me range to just go off on a tangent. Which, by the way, I do have one to start with today. And it's this fact that somehow, some way, I failed you all. And
Yep.
I'm sorry.
The streak was broken!
Episode 39, I did not drop a Star Trek reference in the entirety of
At
the
all.
show. And by the way, I just want to say I'm disappointed in myself. I'm disappointed in you. I'm also disappointed in the listeners because not a single person on social media called me out on it.
Everybody's really missing it.
They're clearly really missing my Star Trek references. But I got it in early today, starting my streak back fresh. So my old streak was 39. So now I got to get to what I'm not going to even try to do the math. But I got a new streak. I'm going to start Star Trek references starting today.
I've still been
episode
listening to
40.
the musical episode. It's like a staple on my Spotify playlist.
We'll have it on Blu-ray here in a couple months,
And
I
I've
think.
heard rumors that we're going to get an extended cut of the Klingon
Yeah,
section.
they said they're
Klingon
going to
boy
special
band.
features are going to include like extended cut of the Klingon, what was it?
The Klingon boy band.
K-pop? Well, is that what technically?
I think it's supposed to be kind of like K-pop.
Yeah. Okay. So we got our Star Trek in, and now
Let's get into it.
let's get into it. So
we finished a new show.
yeah, the fall of the House of Usher. We talked last week that we started it. We watched the first episode, and we promised you all that we would finish it in a week. We did,
And we did.
with time to spare. We were done Thursday.
Yes, we got to a point on Thursday where we had 3 episodes left to go, and at that point, it was like, okay, we got to bring it home. Bring it home, John B. More podcast lore for you, but it was really good.
It was excellent.
It's this is the same guy, Mike Flanagan. He's done The Haunting of Hill House, The Haunting of Bly Manor, Midnight Mass, The Midnight Club, which we have not seen, The Midnight Club. And this one, like we said, is called The Fall of the House of Usher. And he kind of took this one based on Edgar Allan Poe's different works. So there are some scare moments in it, but it's more of like a thriller, like spooky season thing. Like it's not necessarily scary, but it's made to like make you think and kind of that creepy. Like if you're familiar with Poe's work, which I'm sure, in school, we always had to read.
Yeah.
We read Edgar Allan Poe stuff in school. Did you guys?
Yes, of course.
Like everybody read like The Raven, and that's so they insert the dialogue in ways that fit and have some references to it. Like the main like character that's kind of popping up, and she's kind of the one that's the foil. I wouldn't call her a villain though in this. Honestly,
Oh no,
the
absolutely
villains
not.
would be
The only thing I would ask is
the
like,
mains.
what like is her what is she exactly?
She's the Raven.
Yeah.
Her name is Verna, which literally in episode 1, I turned to you and I was like, oh, if you mix the letters around, that spells Raven. Daniel just gives me a blank look. I guess not everyone's trying to figure out the plot in a very few seconds like me, but I was like, oh, she's the Raven. And I was like, it's like switch the letters around, and you were just kind of like, I'm watching the show. Shut up, Hope.
It's a better anagram. That's a better anagram than I am Voldemort or whatever Tom Riddle was or something.
Tom Riddle, yeah.
It's better. It's a better anagram than that one was.
It was
for
good.
sure.
What did you think of it?
Oh, I thought it was excellent. Thoroughly entertaining. Just had me on the edge of my
excellent from you is like
yeah.
top
It had
tier.
me on the edge of my seat multiple times. Just every episode when the title card would pop up,
So good.
it was just like it was the perfect moment
Mwah,
for it. It
chef's
was
kiss.
great. I cannot believe Netflix is letting Mike Flanagan get away.
Yeah, you said he's going
to
Amazon
to do his next works.
And it's gonna.
Although I will
slot
say
right
one
in.
thing, Jeff Bezos, give him money. Mike Flanagan has the rights
Come
to
on,
Stephen
Jeffrey,
to,
you can do it.
to Stephen King's The Dark Tower. And he's not only does he have the rights to it, but he is a fan of the works. I have seen enough. It's time for him to do The Dark Tower justice.
He's going to confirmed.
He owns the rights.
Okay.
Now I'm not that's not saying any production studio out there has given him the green light to start making it, but he owns the rights to it on film from Stephen King. So if anybody's going to do it, he's the one.
And I think that series, that book series, which I haven't read that series, I just couldn't get into it, but from what you've told me and from what I've heard other people discuss, that I think would work out better as a TV series or miniseries,
yes.
like what Mike Flanagan does, than necessarily a one-off movie.
No, a one-off. A lot of people. It
wasn't intended to be a one-off movie, was it? It just bombed.
A lot of people.
It had good actors in it too. Didn't it have like Idris Elba?
Oh, that movie! I don't want to speak its name.
Matthew McConaughey. Like it had A-list actors in it, and it didn't hit. From what I
because it
understand.
was terrible.
But let's get back to the good show,
Okay.
The Fall of the House of Usher. I agree with you. Excellent. I would say for me, when like comes to ranking the works that he's done that I've seen, I still think Hill House checked all the boxes because Hill House was scary, but it still had that thriller aspect, and I wanted to keep going. And I think that one just set the bar for me. Like when I really stood back and thought about each show, I'd say I'm still going to give that one the edge. And I really did like Bly Manor too, but I'm going to give The Fall of the House of Usher a very close second spot behind Hill House in my rankings of those two. I would still put Hill House above it. But it was great. It checked all the boxes for me. It's just enough that it still fits the theme of like spooky season. But you and I know like I can speak for you and you're going to agree with me. Like we're the type that we don't necessarily love like a slasher movie or a slasher show for Halloween. We like kind of that thriller, that stuff that makes you think for spooky season. And this just what he does with his works, and yes, Hill House did have kind of the scary shock moments. He still works it in, but he does it in a very creative way. And I've always really liked Poe's stuff because, Poe's stuff is creepy. And I thought that he sprinkled that in well. And really, one of the things that struck me so much about the show is it was basically a metaphor. Like, this is what the older generations, the boomers, let's just call it what it is, because I think they're supposed to be boomers, Madeline
They would be that age, yes.
Roderick.
Yep.
They basically how they got theirs and they screw over the younger generations because essentially he makes a deal with the Raven supposedly, and the deal is you're gonna thrive, you're gonna have financial security, you're gonna be wealthy.
No one legally is gonna be able to come and ever touch you.
But you're gonna sacrifice your kids.
But you're gonna sacrifice your kids at the end of it.
And we find out kind of what that means in each episode. After you have the opener episode, and then each episode is focused on one of his children. I thought for me, of the episodes focused on the kids, the heart one was like the craziest one to me. I thought they were all good, but that one, the ending of that one, like wig snatched.
Yeah, that one was kind of nuts. I'm trying to think of the other one that I liked. I liked there
was
one,
Perry's with the club thing.
I liked the one with the hot one, as you so called her.
Okay, so her character is Camille in the show, and she is actually the wife of Mike Flanagan. Good for him. And I always call her the hot one, and the stuff that she shows, she's a good looking. Am I wrong? Are you gonna tell me I'm wrong?
I'm not gonna tell you you're wrong.
And I
I'm
really
not
liked
blind.
like the I know she was wearing a wig, but like that hair color, that like icy, because she was basically like a very icy personality in this, and it just fit. She's kind of like had her eccentricities, a little weird. I wish that hers hadn't been number 2, because I would have liked to have seen her stick around a little longer.
You'd have liked to be able to watch her on screen a little longer. Not just for that,
just because I found her character interesting. Thank you very much. But yeah, I referred to her as like the hot one throughout the entire show.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't want to necessarily go too deep into like a breakdown of it.
Yeah, we want you guys to watch it.
Yeah, if you are interested, you should watch it. I guess I wish I would have said at the beginning, like, if you're interested in this, don't listen to us talk about it beforehand. But
yes, because this is a spoiler podcast.
It is a spoiler podcast.
We have chapter markers if you want to move on.
Most of our loyal listeners, they know that that's the case already. So hopefully, if you were planning on watching this, you waited before you listened to us talk about it. But
and you kind of get the picture. I mean, when we say each episode is going to be focused on the kids, that show's one is called The Fall of the House of Usher, and they explain very quickly within like the first few minutes of the first episode that he's going to lose his kids. So that's not really. Much of a
that's not a spoiler at
like
all.
That is explained to you, and then you've got to figure out like why, what happens, and you are always seeing the Verna, which you quickly figure out she's like the Raven. In terms of casting, I thought young Madeline was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I thought she mirrored older Madeline's mannerisms very well, which older Madeline, we always know her as Madam President for my Battlestar Galactica nerds out there. That's what every time I see that woman. I know she's in Independence Day and she did that first, but don't you ever see her and you're like, oh, it's Madam President
that is
from
what
PSG.
I think about. Yes,
I know you do. The whole thing was good. I thought the soundtrack fit. Like, of course, the Heart episode, they did Total Eclipse of the Heart.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, the cast was good. Like what I said when we were talking about this last week, Mike Flanagan really is the Judd Apatow of horror kind of thriller shows, because now that I find out that, Camille, I don't know what the actress's name is, but the hot one is his wife in real life. Judd Apatow always casts Leslie Mann, his wife, in all of his stuff. And you're going to see the same kind of, not characters, but the same actors that are sprinkled in with his other works. And I don't think the girl that plays Madeline has been in anything before, Madeline.
If you watch most of his stuff,
I like that.
You've noticed them popping up now and then.
It's just me, the Leo meme, the whole time, like pointing at the TV, like, oh, that was in, Hill House. That one played so-and-so in Blight Manor. That one, blah, blah, blah.
Who else showed up that wasn't a like veteran of his stuff, but was like, oh, look who it is.
Oh, Luke Skywalker, a.k.a. Mark Hamill, great actor.
Yep. His character was very mysterious. I don't even know that his character really was less mysterious by the end. Maybe a little bit, maybe slightly. We got a little bit of background.
You got a little
but
bit
for
of
the most
background
part,
into it.
You didn't get a ton of information about his character, but he had integrity, unlike the Ushers.
Basically, the Usher family is
it's a weird thing to say that. If you've seen the show, you kind of know what I'm talking about. Like,
yeah.
But
the Usher family is basically like Succession. Only a little spookier, scarier, and maybe a little even more self-centered than some of our characters. But that's characters from Succession. But the whole time I'm like, oh, this is like Succession, but horror.
Yeah, it definitely, there was some, I don't know what to say. I don't know what the right word to say is. There were some through-line similarities from Succession that you could see probably had some influence on this.
I'll definitely say the oldest daughter, she made Shiv from Succession look like a saint, like an angel with her attitude. So take that as you will if you have seen Succession. But I would definitely recommend that you watch this. It makes me want to go back and give Midnight Mass another chance. Because I think we bopped out of that a little too early, and I hear that one really gets good at the end.
Well, the dog thing. The dog thing is what.
Yeah, that's what it was.
You dropped it as soon as the dog thing happened.
I actually had fugue stated that in my brain and completely forgot about that till you just mentioned it. I almost walked out of a movie once, you guys. I don't know. Is it like I Am Legend?
Yeah.
The movie with Will Smith, and he loses his dog in the very beginning of the movie. I've never been so close to walking out of a theater like I was in that regard. I was like, bye. Can't do it. But anyway, The Fall of the House of Usher. 10 times.
Excellent. Yes, 10 and 10. Go watch it.
Go watch it. I feel like we did watch it very conservatively at first. We were trying to spread it out, but once you get those last couple episodes and it's all coming together, you gotta know.
You'll binge right through it. So
you're gonna get right through it. And we did call one of the big twists. I'm not gonna say what it was, but let's just say Roderick is talking to a wall. Daniel and I totally called who was behind that wall. So high five to us.
High five. Speaking of more spooky season stuff, we also finished season 2 of What We Do in the Shadows.
What We Do in the Shadows, season 2.
What did you think of season 2 compared to season 1?
Bastard in New York City.
We still haven't got to that line.
I know. We've heard them talk about Simon the Devious, and he showed up twice now, but we haven't gotten to that line. I thought it was great. It's funny. I feel like now I'm getting to the point where it's becoming like a comfort show to me, and we're just like flying through it. bat, we're flying.
I think it's crazy that you told me the other day that show has no like physical release whatsoever.
Yeah, I read about
There's no
that.
DVDs or anything.
That's what I saw on, I think, TikTok or Reddit, so that could be wrong, but that's what somebody said. Like, that's one of the shows that you can only get on streaming, which I think is crazy, and that is something I believe that the actors are trying to get, like, that people should be able to purchase those physical hard copies of that work.
Yeah, I agree.
And I agree with that completely.
We've kind of gone through a weird metamorphosis from we were physical copy people, but that was back when like streaming wasn't really
and I
that
used
big
to
of a
buy
deal.
like movies every week. Like I'd buy anything.
And then we kind of gone through a period now where we haven't really been buying so many, but we've kind of started coming back to it. And just because from a preservation standpoint, like you've seen it with so many shows that like you can't.
You want to support that work. That's
I want to support
done.
the work because the streaming isn't supporting it, and also
you want to support the actors.
Stuff
the people
disappears
that put it together. Exactly. Like I've seen apparently Paramount Plus. Here's a Star Trek reference. Didn't they remove something?
Yeah. So they had another cartoon show that I haven't watched yet. I'm going to get to it called Star Trek Prodigy.
Right?
They were in the mid, like season 2 was almost done, and they were like, you know what, we're not going to pick it up anymore. And not only did they like halt season 2's production, they took season 1 off of Paramount Plus because it was a tax write-off thing. They make more money as a tax write-off.
I guess Disney Plus did that too. I'm not familiar with it in the 80s. I had no desire to watch this one. I think it's called Willow, the show, and I guess it bombed bad. But now I'll never get to see it because apparently I'm not sure. I cannot vouch for this.
It's
but
not
I
on Disney Plus anymore.
Okay,
it's
so
gone.
that is exactly true. It's not on Disney Plus
anymore.
anymore.
They wrote it off.
They wrote it off.
They
so
wrote
write
it
off.
But so Paramount Plus is sitting here and telling me, advertising to us that Paramount Plus is the place for Star Trek streaming. Except now, at least one of the shows isn't there anymore. It did get picked up by Netflix, who's going to produce the second season.
Yes.
And finish it, and that's great. But it's weird because
not
everything else Star
hub.
Trek is on Paramount Plus except for this one show, and I don't understand like. This whole like removing shows and doing all this stuff for tax purposes is just I'm sorry, excuse me everyone, is bullshit. It's so stupid that they're doing this stuff. Like I'm sorry, I am the streaming wars have gotten to a point under my skin
Gizmo,
now.
Let's get back
it's gotten under my skin now where it's just annoying me that we're right back where we started. With the with cable and everything, where if you want to watch everything, you're paying $70 to $80 a month.
Yeah.
So what's the point? We were supposed to have this better future, and here we are, right back where we started.
But anyway,
What We Do in Shadows season
Gizmo,
2.
Let's get back to the point.
Season 2 is excellent. What do you think? Guillermo's kind of the big story through line. What do you think?
So at the end of season 1, he discovered he was related to Van Helsing because they did a DNA test. Oh my gosh, I just thought of this. Remember the other ones were afraid of the DNA test that they would get like the witch semen or something, and then suddenly in season 2, Laszlo and Mando did get kidnapped by the witches, and that's what they were after. I'm surprised they didn't reference that, but now Guillermo is kind of like left, right?
Yeah, he by the end of the season,
but then he does come back to help his vampire housemates out, but
by
we don't
slaughtering all those other vampires that were.
We don't know how they're going to react to that. I really like that they have a through storyline, but it's still like funny. Mm-hmm. We got a major Colin Robinson episode this season.
Yes.
I like how they never call him Colin.
It's just Colin Robinson.
Colin Robinson. I really liked the episode where Colin was getting some energy online by engaging with internet trolls, and then he goes and he meets like an actual like troll, and he's like, trolling, that's racist, you can't say that, because it was like a troll, like a literal troll.
I like the Jackie Daytona episode.
Jackie
Daytona from Tucson, Arizona.
He's like, you claim to be from Arizona, but you have an accent. He's like, I'm from Tucson, Arizona.
Which, by the way, who popped up in that episode?
Mark Hamill.
We love us some Mark Hamill.
We love us some Mark Hamill.
Anytime he shows up in something, we're happy.
I think you should be Jackie Daytona for Halloween because
all
you need are some blue jeans that you need to cuff, and then just a toothpick. See, the toothpick, he takes the toothpick out. He's recognizable. He puts the toothpick in. Who's your favorite character?
It's Laszlo.
I gotta go with Laszlo too. Bat.
Although
I really like Nadja too.
When Nadja's puppet shows up every now and then.
It's her doll that she put her
her
ghost
doll.
into.
I do enjoy the doll. That's kind of an entertaining thing. I thought they were going to do more with it, but now I think it's more of a long-term storyline that it's roaming around the house.
And then we got Nando, who's a big Dream Team supporter.
Big Dream Team supporter.
It's just a funny show. Like I said, it's solidified as like a comfort show for me. That's definitely a show I would go back and rewatch. I find myself quoting it periodically throughout the day. I find myself randomly still yelling "bat," and then this woman, she speaks which we've already cussed, so we're not going to cuss.
I took care of that for you earlier. Yeah. Don't worry about it. So
it's good. Go check it out. Another show good for spooky season, but it's not scary at all. It's just funny. It's campy. I would highly recommend it.
For sure.
Another spooky season show that I started, and for some reason, I guess your back hurts, so you were just like, whatever. And you didn't really read the Goosebumps books, did you?
No, I wasn't a big reader as a kid.
Okay, well,
I was busy watching Star Trek.
All about reading like 50 books all the time, and I really loved Goosebumps books. I did watch the Goosebumps cheesy TV show of the 90s. I watched that. I have seen the Goosebumps movies that really didn't hit.
Didn't they do one with like Jack Black?
Yeah.
That wasn't even that long ago.
Yeah, well, I don't really know.
I mean,
what is time?
Recently, time has been just a complete like.
It's hard for me to realize that 2020 is almost 4 years ago. So, what is time, really?
Okay.
What is time? But so Disney Plus has it out, and it's kind of got the loose themes of Goosebumps. I think they have the first 5 episodes out now, and then I think we're gonna get more on each Friday. So I feel like I started episode 4, but I didn't finish it because I had to go to sleep last night at some point. And they're taking elements from the books, but they're kind of creating their own storyline. It's not as childlike as I thought it would be. Like, they do cuss in it, which I was like, oh. And it's still, though, made for, I'd say, like a teen kind of audience.
Sure.
And they're basically, the first 3 episodes I liked because they had different plot points, but each one was from a different character's point of view. So it all started at this Halloween party at the Biddle house, the haunted house, which is kind of the through storyline. And I like it when shows do that and you get to see things from another perspective. And I could have gotten into Star Trek reference without you even doing it. One of the girls that's cast, and she was in Picard the first 2 seasons.
Data's daughter, I believe, is who she played. I don't remember her name whatsoever. Because
either.
I have tried very hard
Marjorie
to completely forget that the first 2 seasons of Picard even existed.
But the 3rd season of Picard was
excellent.
Excellent.
If you want to hear more about that, go look at our podcast page. It's on there.
We have a supercut.
Season
3, we come out with supercuts randomly. But anyway, that's what happens when we don't have show notes. I thought Goosebumps was cute. I'm enjoying it. I feel like you would have liked it just fine. Like, you would have enjoyed it.
I had a video. So I have a video game I'm playing. And also, my back was completely falling apart when you were watching it, to the point where I couldn't sit comfortably on that couch.
I am excited that they're referencing points of my favorite Goosebumps book, the first one I ever read, called Go Eat Worms. But seeing the guy actually eating worms on TV was making me a little nauseous last night.
I think the only one I recall ever reading, and I don't remember
Night of the Living Dummy,
single thing about the plot
the one
whatsoever,
where the hamster gets to a monster,
was like the Abominable Snowman of Pasadena.
Okay, I think I read that.
That's the only one I know I read. I have no memory of its plot or story or anything.
Goosebumps was good, man. We had Goosebumps, and then when you got a little older, you get Fear Street. That's by the same author.
I never went there.
I think you would have liked Goosebumps. You just, like you said, you weren't into reading as much.
I was an illiterate little child, so it happens.
All
hey,
right.
we are into Loki season 2.
Yes.
Episode 3, I believe, is what we're on now.
That was episode 3.
There got to be 8 episodes this season,
or
right?
a version of him. I do not know how many episodes there are.
Because this can't be halfway through the season.
It
feels like
nothing's
happened.
Disney Plus is either 6 or 8 episodes the way they do it. Sometimes 5. I think I would. I mean, I agree with you. We can't be halfway, but we did get to see Kane.
Yes, we did. I've enjoyed every episode, but I feel like barely anything has happened.
We got to see what Ms. Minutes is up to, and let's just say she is a little creepy little thing now. She is into Kang.
Yeah.
Am I saying his name right? It's Kang. Right?
Well, so the character...
Is it Kang?
Kang is a variant of this person.
Yeah, we got to see the variant.
So the person we saw this episode was named Victor Timely.
Okay.
And so the question I think I have to pose to you at the very beginning is the very first thing we see is Renslayer showing up in his time, but like 20 years before most of the episode takes place, and delivering to him the TVA handbook.
Yes.
So the question becomes, does he ever become whatever he's going to become if that never happened?
I don't know. I think we'll find out.
It's a time paradox.
Apparently, Ms. Minutes wants him to turn her into a person, though.
Yeah,
she's the thing for him. She's
down bad for him.
She's been like she went from being a cute little cute little cartoon thing with a charming Southern accent to this thing scares the crap out of me.
Yeah. She wanted it bad.
Yeah. It was a good episode, though. I enjoyed it. What do you think of the Mobius being the guy that worked at McDonald's rumor with Sylvie? And the second
Honestly,
episode? I think that's reaching.
I think that's fans trying to reach for every little thing, and I don't know why they're doing that.
They're going down the Star Wars route,
they're just like, everything has to be something, everything. And it's like, no, you know what? It could just, that's the guy that works at McDonald's with her. And it's just, what that is a way for Sylvie to get tied to emotions with the place she's at, to give her motivation later when they try to help her, to convince her to help them, because right now she's not being helpful.
No, she's not.
And she's
we did
being
get
the
some of that
opposite
classic
of helpful.
Loki humor, though, at the beginning. They had the Norse gods up, right?
Yeah.
And Loki's like, he's so inaccurate. And he's like, Thor's not that tall.
Most of the episode took place in like 1895 or 99.
In Chicago,
somewhere
at the World's Fair.
At the World's Fair. And yeah, so they had all the different, like one of the inspirations for Epcot is World's Fairs throughout the years. So they had lots of different countries with their places.
Thor's not that tall.
And so, so Norway had a place, and all the Norse gods were there, and Loki wasn't represented. And that was funny.
As well as he thought he should.
What do you think about the Ferris wheel? Because you didn't realize they were on a Ferris wheel at first.
No, that might be a Ferris wheel I might ride, though, more enclosed like that. I hate Ferris wheels. I'm like Ryan from the OC. And a Ferris wheel. Not a fan. I got stuck on a Ferris wheel once, and it was at the fair. What was I thinking? They put those rides up in like 2 hours. The guy had to hand crank us down.
That's no good.
It was not good.
That's no good.
It was very traumatic for me. And yeah, no, pass.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like Loki was my favorite of the MCU shows so far.
It's not blowing my mind.
It's not blowing my mind right now.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. I think I don't know if it's fatigue of the MCU in general.
I feel like we waited so long for it, and now it's
I don't know what it is, but I think the MCU in general has had, and I'm not nearly as critical as most people have been.
No,
but they've definitely had a direction problem post Endgame that they haven't solved yet.
I do feel like Loki, if you're going to pick any of the Marvel shows to watch, this is one of the ones that's most directly going to be
it's
going to
matter the most to the movies, yes, for sure.
I'm hopeful that it will get better, but right now, like my mind's not totally like blown by it.
Let's put it this way. Instead of watching this episode of Loki Thursday night, we finished off the Fall of the House of Usher.
Oh yeah. And like we watched
Frasier, yeah.
We got to a point where we had to watch those 3 episodes of Fall of the House of Usher.
Speaking of Frasier,
yes.
3 episodes in now.
3 episodes
How
in.
you feeling?
I have so many mixed emotions because I'm happy to be like reunited with my old friend Frasier Crane. And when Frasier is on screen as himself, it feels like Frasier. Kelsey Grammer's not missing. Do you agree with me? Like he is Frasier Crane.
Yep.
He's taking that character on. It's just other stuff I'm not so sure about. Like I'm enjoying it and I look forward to the episode, but I'm not like wowed by it. And I feel like maybe the cast is still trying to find that chemistry. I do think his one colleague that I can tell they've made almost a mix of Roz and Niles with the liners they give him. The guy that has the cat.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I don't remember what his name is. I think he's funny. Maybe it's because I don't know the cast as much. I do think Freddie is really being a little like almost eye rolling too much. They're almost going too heavy with Freddie being annoyed at his dad. It's almost a little too over the top.
I maintain
they need to reel it back a little bit.
I maintain after 3 episodes, there are no other characters in this show. It's just Frasier and a bunch of dummies standing around.
And David, Daphne and Niall's son, again, he's such a Sheldon.
Other than David, who I still despise.
Yeah,
he's established a character. It's just an annoying character that I don't want to see on screen.
He's just annoying. And you have to wonder, Though I always think about it, I'm like, this would kill Niles that his son worships Frasier.
Right?
Like, Niles would be so annoyed by it.
Maybe
so
he is
annoyed.
rebelling, unlike his father ever did. But
and Frasier and Niles both had style. Like, David, like, almost dresses like Sheldon. So maybe that's his, like, bit of being quirky. I'm not really sure. I am very excited for Lilith. This shows you where I'm at. I'm very excited. I know we know Lilith and we know Roz are supposed to show up at some point. I'm counting down the episodes till one of them shows up. And that's where I'm relying on those guest stars to get me through. So that's kind of, I look forward. I'm excited to see again on Thursday. I like seeing what Frasier's been up to. Kelsey Grammer is great in all his scenes. It's just, it's not, the cast is, it's just not gelling for me.
It's a weak cast. I don't know if it, I don't know yet. The actors seem fine.
And we are holding it to a high standard. I will be the first person to admit that.
But the actors seem fine, but what they've been given to work with has just been mediocre.
Like, there was one line, and even Kelsey, I think, delivered it as best he could.
Oh, that was
where
bad.
They were talking about Yale versus Harvard. He's like, okay, well, stop yelling at me. And I'm like, oh my. Like, that was a little too cheesy. Whereas I feel like the first Frasier was always written very intelligently.
Very witty, yes.
Now, maybe I'm wrong on this. Aren't the people that are doing Frasier the people that did How I Met Your Mother?
I have no idea. That's bad news.
So yeah, we also
news.
watched Frasier, and like I said, I'm excited to watch more of it because I feel like I'm reuniting with my old friends. But I told you, I think we were out on a run. And I said, you know what I'm most excited for those guest stars to show up, and you can't rely on that.
No, that's a bad thing. The guest stars should be sprinkles on the cake, but they shouldn't be the thing you're looking forward to.
Absolutely. So what else have we been watching?
Oh, see, those are the things that are like in my brain, and now that we don't have your notes, I'm just completely lost. I think we watched Dancing with the Stars last week.
We did watch Dancing with the Stars. It was Disney 100 Nights. I enjoyed the episode. We're Disney fans, so I'm always going to like it, but in terms of the Disney episodes compared to recent years, I'm going to say it was pretty weak.
It's kind of a stinker.
There wasn't any dance that stood out to me. Like, I was thinking back. I was actually in the shower today, and I was thinking about the Disney episode, what I wanted to say for the podcast. There was... In the past, okay, of course, we all had Allison and Riker's iconic Pirates of the Caribbean Paso. And then they've always tried to recreate that. And I'm like, so I'm glad we didn't have another Pirates Paso because they always give people the Pirates theme for the Paso. I get it. It fits. So I was like, well, I'm glad they didn't do that because you're never going to be able to top that. But that's an iconic dance I remember from Disney nights. I remember Iman and Daniela's where she was Iago, the parrot, and they did that lift. Do you remember that? That was one of the first crazy lifts that she did, even before the Halloween episode. And I thought that was really cool. Mark, and since last season it was Disney Plus night, they could, and now, Disney owns The Simpsons now because they own Fox. So Mark and Charlie did that Simpsons dance. That was just crazy because Mark is so creative. And obviously Charlie's probably the most talented contestant we've ever had.
She also had that Marge Simpson hair, and it's like no one knows how it stayed on her head.
Who knows? So that was top tier. There was really nothing, I wasn't blown away by any of the dances. I think my favorite dance of the night was Ariana, Maddox dance, and Pasha's dance.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree.
Do you agree?
Yeah.
They had a contemporary
the Frozen 2 song.
Yes, Frozen 2 song, Into the Unknown. So I like that they did a Frozen 2 song. I don't think she was the top scorer of the night. I think the judges kind of lowballed her a little bit. Because normally when you have a contemporary, you have a good shot. I knew they weren't going to do a perfect score yet, but you have a good shot of getting some better scores, and I thought they kind of lowballed her. What do you think?
I think they did a little bit. I think she could have been tied with Sochi's. I liked Sochi's dance as well, but
Sochi's dance was good.
It just wasn't as memorable as...
Sochi did a paso to Polo, I can't say it, Poloco from Coco.
From Coco.
The fast song from Coco, Remember
not the
Me.
slow one. Yeah, not Remember Me.
And she did a great job. She's doing a great. I think I didn't like her and I almost called him Max, his brother. I didn't like her and Val's promo package. That was so obviously a commercial. And I'm glad that Val actually made a reference to that. He was like, oh, it was that Hyundai or Honda, whatever I think that was for. Like when the judges or Julianne was asking him questions or something. And because you can tell it was just so forced. And they made them do that. I thought that was weird.
And who was kicked off this episode?
Adrian Peterson. Goodbye. We did it, Joe. we did it. So now I feel like I'm at the point where you still want Mauricio, the real estate mogul.
Well, even more now with the news you just shared with me.
That he's possibly dating Emma.
This is unbelievable, folks.
You think she could
She
do better?
deserves so much better than that guy.
Anyway, we said goodbye to Adrian Peterson. No, not sad at all. I am sad for Britt because I like his pro.
Yeah.
And I hope that she gets rewarded next season with somebody good and, a good person as well. I felt like Jason struggled a little bit this week. He still did good, but you could tell he was not as comfortable. It was his first style in ballroom.
But I'm not worried about him.
I'm not worried about him either. I felt like he and Daniela lacked a little bit of chemistry for A Whole New World.
Yeah.
I could tell that he was a little uncomfortable with ballroom, but I think he's going to work hard and he's going to bounce back.
For those folks that have been at the top most of the season, those mid-season troughs where they fall in the middle of the pack, but they know they're not danger of going home. Those are actually good for them.
And again, Charity performed very well. She's had great dances every week. I don't think she's necessarily had a breakout dance yet, but I think she has contemporary on tonight's episode, which is going to be most memorable year. That's usually, I think we have more contemporaries. That's usually where if you're going to get your first perfect score of the season, you do. They're going to be doing the tribute to Lynn Goodman. Our favorite judge, who unfortunately is no longer with us. And they're bringing back some of the old school pros. Max is going to come back. Tony Davalani, I can't say his name right. Tony, I always love Tony. Anna, Louie, Kim, and Edita. We haven't seen Edita in forever. She's the one that danced with Jason Taylor. That's the first season you watched, where Christy Yamaguchi won and Jason Taylor got second.
You're asking me to remember a long
time. That was way
ago.
back in our apartment. That's how long ago that was. So they're going to be coming back to do a tribute dance. I'm excited for that. Oh, and I will say one thing I did like about the Disney 100 night. They finally did We Don't Talk About Bruno to feature, Bruno at the end.
They did, but you know what?
It was a missed opportunity. They should have done that last year.
It was fine.
Yeah. I think the dance could have been, and they did that dumb
Why
car
didn't
commercial
Bruno, the judge that's named Bruno, do anything more than just happen to have a outfit that vaguely resembled
I was hoping
that?
Bruno would have been
why didn't he's a dancer.
the whole
Why
dance.
didn't he just jump in and do the dance?
I would have loved that.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
I would have
they I'm sorry,
loved
they
that.
dropped the ball on it.
But
You've
at
got a
least they finally
judge
did it.
who is a dancing judge who has a dancing background. His name is Bruno.
And who
you're
likes
on
to
a
be
you're on a
the center
dancing
of
show,
attention.
and he likes to be the center of attention, and you don't wheel him out there and have him do it.
Just thought of another reference.
No, you got my reference.
I'm not saying it. That's for the Patreon content that we have on video.
So I just they dropped the ball on that completely.
I really miss, and they didn't do this last year either. I miss them filming at Disneyland. The little packages, I like that. And I know it's because I like the Disney parks, but I like how they did that, and I liked how the pros used to film a number in front of the castle. Like that was they did it in front of Sleeping Beauty's castle. They would get up really early in the morning and they would film this whole number in front of it, and I missed that. I mean, they did bring Mickey and Minnie into the ballroom. They were there hanging out with Alfonso and Julianne half the night, the host. I like that. But I miss those little packages. If you're going to give me a pre-recorded package, give me that. I want to see them at Disney. I like seeing them talk about Disney.
How many times can you say package in a row?
Be quiet. Carrie Ann was a little weird in that episode. I think she made.
She's always a little weird.
I think she made Derek and Bruno mad. Like
she's weird.
She cut into Derek's time when he was critiquing Lele, and he couldn't even he had no time to even give his critique. It was strange. But I'm looking forward to most memorable year. I'm looking forward to that Lynn dance tonight. We do have a Whitney Houston night confirmed coming up, and it's making me wonder if now the Taylor Swift night was a rumor.
I'm sorry.
Do not.
My Okay, no, I'm not
Whitney.
going to.
Okay.
I'm not going to disparage Whitney Houston or her music, but at least the music that comes to my mind when I think of her is not necessarily dancing music.
She literally has a song that's called "I Want to Dance with Somebody."
Okay.
You uncultured swine. So, I want to dance with somebody. You know that.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, speaking of dancing, did Sam poop?
She has not pooped yet.
She's not pooped yet.
So we are Bachelor in Paradise.
We're switching it up, everybody. We're at the Bachelor in Paradise, and last we left you, it was a tense moment because one of the contestants hadn't pooped in 9 days, and she was given until sunrise.
And they even had the doctor in the opening credits. I really thought she was going to poop because I'm like, they're really kind of making this a joke and leaning into it.
They joked about it so much.
And But then, like I told you, what did I say? I said, these producers are evil.
They are.
I wouldn't be, and you're like, there's no way she didn't poop. I'm like, I could see her leaving and not being able to poop, and they're still joking around about it, even though that is a serious medical issue at this point.
Right.
And I think they said she was on day 11, and Jesse said at the cocktail party that she still hadn't pooped yet.
Yeah.
I assume that she has since pooped.
So yeah,
because she's still like thriving.
we haven't seen an obituary or anything.
The fact
so
that this woman has a 6-pack and didn't poop for 9 days just blows my mind at the level of fitness that she's in. Because I would feel like so like beyond bloated. I don't think I'd be able to move.
You'd have been rolling me around on that beach.
Just rolling. rolling.
I only tuned in for that first 10 to 15 minutes of the episode to find out what happened, and then
then
I
he was
peaced out.
furious.
I was furious.
He's like, I can't believe they made such a joke, and she actually had to be like carted off. And I'm like,
I mean, they didn't cart her off; she walked off, but it still was just
they put her like in the
they really made a lot of
hospital
fun of it for a situation that ended up actually being
Yeah.
serious, where she had to leave the show. I wonder if, like you said, she may go off
and then come back.
if things
But what would be
move
evil?
right.
What would be evil if they find a way?
Oh, that's what they're going to do.
So there's going to be a rose ceremony. That hasn't happened yet. That'll happen in Thursday's episode. The girls have the roses. If they bring in another girl and Aaron gets the rose from another girl, or the producers find a way to give him a pity rose, which they have done before, and then he ends up connecting with another girl, and then they bring Sam back, evil.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I've heard some rumors in the Bachelor communities that I'm a part of that he and Sam have been spotted out. So it's always possible he leaves the show and he can go and they can go.
I mean,
later.
listen, he passed the test.
I thought he was going to leave with her. And you know what? I think this is my working theory, and Reddit also, this is where I got it from Reddit, and I agree with this. It's not necessarily my working theory. They're like, why didn't Aaron just leave with her? I think producers convinced him to stay just so he could smash the truth box. You didn't watch that part of the episode where Wells brought out the truth box and Aaron just like, people aren't being truthful, and he smashed it. I think they're like, hey, can you stay and smash this truth box for us?
Have a fit, yeah.
And have a
But he passed the test. Like when she sat him down in the last episode.
Yeah, he didn't
and
laugh.
Truthfully told
Took
her
it
what was going on,
seriously.
and then tried to help her out.
Wasn't freaked out.
And let's be honest with you, the coffee and olive oil that he put down with her is going to affect him too.
Yeah. Well, I was listening to the Bachelor Happy Hour podcast earlier today, and Grocery Store Joe, because you watched his season of Bachelor in Paradise, he actually said, because he had the opposite problem, and he said most people get down there and they have all that, like, because they basically eat the hotel bar food the whole time.
Right.
He's like, most people get down there and have the opposite issue.
Yeah.
Where they cannot stop going.
Well, I think there's two types of people in this world. There's people that go on vacation and can't poop, and there's people that go on vacation and cannot stop pooping. I, for one, have a lot of sympathy for Sam because I'm in the first camp.
You've never gone 9 days,
I've never gone 9 days, but I've been on vacation for a week and gone 3 or 4 days before I finally was able to get it going. And it's not a comfortable
throwing
feeling.
that coffee and food
and
everything.
like doing everything you can, like you're eating food,
walking
like
in the heat,
just rocking food down, just really piling it on, and it's like, I don't even know if this toilet's going to handle me when it finally comes to it.
Anyway, we're going to take a quick pause to take our dog out. Speaking of poop. And you know what show might be good for Sam to have gone on with her level of fitness, and that can really scare the crap out of you? Special Forces.
Can you imagine going on Special Forces and not being able to poop?
That would be hard.
That would be a rough one.
That'd be a rough one. That would be a rough one.
I love this show.
I would be like Tyler Cameron, just throwing up.
Did you when he started to throw up and they were like, stand up so I can watch your face as you do it, and he did it. He literally stood up and just started throwing up, but like not leaned over, just like standing at attention like you do in the military, and just blah.
It was like projectile, like that episode of Family Guy where they were all throwing up. If anybody knows me, and especially is familiar with my running and the races that I do, I'm a puker. Right
there with you, sister.
Keeps moving. What?
I said I'm right there with you, sister.
And I believe we even have a picture of us from the first half marathon we did together, where you have my puke on your shirt.
Oh,
somehow.
yes, of course. It never fails.
But I throw up all the time. It's just, I've talked to this like nutritionist before. It's just like an adrenaline thing that some people just do it. And I can tell you, I would be gutting it out. I would be gutting these challenges out the best I could, but I would be throwing up. I'd be like Tyler Cameron, just barfing after that.
Well, he did happen to have to do like almost all the work for
Yes.
his team on that challenge.
So they really challenged the two Olympians, Erin and Bodie Miller. They had Erin, she won the Olympic gold at the most recent Winter Olympics, which I think was 2022.
Yes.
And obviously Bodie Miller's like have so many Olympic medals, too many to count, famous skier. So they had those two be the captain of the teams, and Bodie Miller's leadership was probably a little better than Erin's. Erin is very subdued and very, even when they were questioning her, like where they bring him into question, she was just very like even keel and calm. I did think it was awesome that and I remember her mentioning this because I did her iFit workout series, but I remember her, and I guess I didn't remember the years or put it together, probably because, I was sweating and running while I was doing it, but she didn't start transitioning to skating on ice until 2017.
Yeah, she was on like skates.
And then she won a
then.
gold medal in speed skating in 2022.
That's crazy.
That's insane. But didn't you think she was very subdued still? She's
very
just
subdued. Like her ability to keep her calm in these situations is admirable. But the challenge they put her up to, she did not do a great job of leading the team.
Like Tyler kind of had to take over the motivation aspect, and then Kelly, who ended up,
she dropped out.
She dropped out because she was in physical pain. That was one part where I would criticize Erin's leadership skills, because I know Erin was, at first she was trying to be encouraging, but when someone says to you, listen, I'm not okay. You need that as a leader. You need to take that into consideration. You shouldn't just dismiss somebody and be like, oh, you're fine, you're fine, you're fine. When someone's crying out for pain for the third time and they look at you and she's like, Erin, I am not okay. As a leader, you need to take that.
It's especially the repeats. Like the first time, maybe you just give her some encouragement,
like,
pat her on the back, and say, you're good, let's go. But repeated times, she was clearly not.
Yeah, and at some point, you're not, it's not, belittling's not the right word I want to look at. You're just not, I don't even know. What would be the word to describe
I don't know.
that?
She was broken.
You're not valuing, like
she just was broke by that for whatever reason. I don't know what.
And she said to the guys, she's like, I respect everything you guys do. She's like, I physically cannot do this anymore. So they were down a team member, and she was already struggling.
Drag that boat.
Tyler basically, he literally carried the team on his back. This again, Tyler Cameron and Hannah Brown. I really think, I know Hannah's happy, but I'm like, gosh, these two are meant to be, because Hannah won last season of Special Forces, and I see such similarities in the way they attack the challenges and they just do the work, and I'm like, oh, they're so much alike. They're my Roman Empire.
I just think it's crazy how when the DSs at the beginning of the episode were talking to each other, that the girl that left, what was her name?
Kelly. I cannot remember her last name at this point.
They were like, yeah, I think Kelly will quit today.
Yeah.
Like they're just so.
I mean, they're so in tune.
They are so in tune with what's
are.
going on and watching these folks that they just, because the week before they were like, let's go ask anybody if they want to leave. I bet 2 will do it. And then what happened? 2 of them did.
Brian Austin Green was like, peace out.
Right off the bat, it's like they just know they've just been, by just observation alone, they have been able to just profile these contestants to a T, and they know, and now they're starting to push buttons.
Now, I will definitely say sometimes they can come off very mean, but when Kelly was struggling, one of them was actually being, like, he was still kind of shouting, but he was actually being very kind.
Well, that's because they know, like, again, they also know motivationally what's going to, like, they were able to identify that in that scenario, going up to her and screaming at her wasn't going to do anything.
I mean, they were still kind of like, okay, in this tone.
Yeah, they were firm with it.
It wasn't like where they told JoJo that, what they say, not abysmal fail, miserable fail.
Yeah, miserable failure, terrible. Like they know, but see the thing is, like for some people like JoJo, and it's probably most of the men on the show, that stuff either they're going to brush it off or that's going to be motivating.
I mean, JoJo was trained by Abby Lee Miller. JoJo from all the Dance Moms people know. JoJo probably has had way worse said to her than what these guys are saying, and at least these guys are not actually hateful.
But like, for me, I can tell you right now, like if they were doing that to me, that would be motivating to me. I'd be like, oh, I gotta, I'm gonna prove this guy wrong.
I do not like being yelled at and the franticness, the way they do it, like that, and the way they almost are intentionally frazzling you because they want you to be put in those situations. That would really panic me. But I can also say that I'm definitely not a quitter. You will have to drag my body off that course, even if I'm failing every challenge.
I believe
you would have to make me quit. Like, it'd have to be like a medical reason or something. Like,
the term for you is stubborn.
Yes, stubborn. Like Gus Kinsworthy last season, the only reason why he didn't finish it was because he got some virus and he was medically, like, they would not let him do it. Like, you would have to be like dragging me off that course, because that's just how I am. And I'm probably stubborn to a fault, I would say. We used to have this workout in college, cross country. I like how you're just not even saying anything. It was called Agony Hills. And it wasn't go do 4, go do 5, go do 8. It was do as many as you can until you can't anymore. And I'm trying, I guess maybe it is a humble brag or a brag of idiocy. I was usually the very last one done, because if you don't give me a number, I'm just going to keep doing it. So usually Coach would have to be like, all right, Hope, you're done. When it would be like he and I, the only ones left doing it, because he was sick of doing them. And
meanwhile, I tapped out on those things as soon as I felt like it was socially acceptable.
I would be like just gutting it out the whole time until you puking everything. Like, you got to tell me when to stop. So I love Special Forces too. This was Tom Sandoval, am I saying his name right? Who we just talked about.
I don't know why you're asking me.
The woman that he cheated on, she had the best Dancing with the Stars dance. I can't believe she dated him. Can you believe that? Ugh.
I don't see it. I do not see it whatsoever.
See it at all. So this was kind of his featured episode. I feel like he's very socially weird and socially awkward, don't you?
He's definitely. I haven't watched the other show he's on, so somebody else would have to tell me.
This show, he was
what his personality is like. He's holding.
Bodie Miller was trying to talk to him.
It feels almost like he's holding back something.
Yeah, like he's trying to
like
not
his personality.
open his mouth. Yeah, like Bodie Miller was trying to talk to him,
Yeah.
and Jack Osborne. I do know. I can tell that Jack Osborne is the most annoying to the.
Well, yeah, because he had to do the combat thing twice, which was not fun the first time.
Well, Tom had to, not Jack.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Tom, had to do the combat thing twice, and so he got the crap beat out of him 2 times. And Bodie was trying to be like, "Hey, you feeling okay? How you doing?"
Tom won. Tom beat Nick.
Yeah, Tom won. Yeah, he beat Nick, but then
it was a very close fight with him and Nick.
But then Jack Osborne beat the crap out of him. Let's be honest. He bloodied his nose. With
Jack, I can tell that Jack is annoying. The guys most. The one guy was like, he's just annoying, and I think Jack's like is friends with people that have done Special Forces, and he's always info dumping.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know this, but I love Jack Osborne, so I want him to continue.
You know what? He's entertaining, but every time he starts opening his mouth, I'm like, oh, shut up. These guys know so much more than you do.
I think the reason why they chose Tom to go again against Jack was because, like, the fight was over and he was still hitting Nick.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm surprised that Nick just stood there. Nick Viall, who I have a love-hate relationship with because he can drive me crazy, he's playing this show right. He's keeping his mouth shut.
Yeah.
And that's what because I was looking at you and I'm like, Nick's not annoying me at all on this show. And then I go look at Nick's Instagram post talking about it. I was like, there's the Nick I know. Nick's just doing what he has to do. You don't talk back to these guys.
No.
You don't react. And Nick could have gotten mad. Like, Tom's taking a shot when they had like already, and I like said that the fight thing was over. And I think that's why they had Tom fight Jack. But it was funny before they had Tom come in.
Right, yeah.
Jack thought that one of them he's like, oh, great, I'm going to have to go against one of them. And I'm like, I don't think they would do
one of the
that.
special forces guys. And he was like, clearly, in that moment, you could see he was like actually a little frightened.
So we only lost one, though, Kelly, right?
Yeah, Kelly was the only one. I mean, this is the first episode of the season that only one person quit.
Yes.
So I think we're starting to whittle it down.
Who do you think's going to win, if you had to guess? We've got a lot of contenders.
I think JoJo has gotten her head screwed on right.
She's doing a good job.
I think Bodie Miller is a strong contestant.
Oh, Bodie Miller's a competitor. I think you're going to have to drag him off.
Yeah, exactly.
And force him to quit.
I think barring major injury,
yeah,
those two are going to be there till the end. I think because like last season, we could have had multiple people finish.
Oh, yeah, but
we
physically couldn't.
Like, for whatever reasons, everybody dropped off. Like, wasn't it? It was Hannah Brown and what the
Carly
other
Lloyd.
Carly Lloyd were the only two left.
And Carly Lloyd failed a lot of the challenges, but if you don't necessarily, you can fail and still stay on.
Yeah, it's last man standing, honestly. But multiple people could finish, and I think multiple people may do it this year.
I think Tyler Cameron
I also
can finish.
don't know what challenges they've got.
What do you think, Tyler Cameron? I think he
could.
He's in pretty good shape.
Yeah, I don't know. The last thing they did with him last season
Oh yeah.
with the interrogation and all that stuff, and the way they ended, and the way you were supposed to navigate that situation, which Hannah Brown did, which is what got her the win. That is more than physical.
Oh yeah, so much of this show, I'd say at least half of this show is purely mental. Like the mental part would be the parts that I would struggle with most if I was a contestant, because I think, like, yes, I'm afraid of heights, but I could shut up and do it. I would have a really hard time with the being yelled at, and the way they frazzle you would bother me. But I think from an athletic perspective, I think I'd be all right on the show. It would just be, for me, the mental part would be the hardest part for me. For
Yep,
sure.
I agree.
Especially when they're intentionally trying to rattle you.
I don't know. With how my back has been lately, the physical part would probably be pretty tough for me too. So, well, anyways, it's that time of the week again, folks. For those of you who have suffered through the rest of this episode only to listen to the OC rewatch, we continue our escapades through season 2.
We don't have as many episodes to cover because we've been pretty busy, but we have 3 episodes. We are covering season 2, episode 16, entitled The Blaze of Glory. It aired on March 17th in 2005. And then we also have season 2, episode 17, The Brothers Grimm. And that is the beginning of our Trey arc, which is going to extend through the rest of the season. And then we also watched season 2, episode 18, The Risky Business. So our episode 16, it kind of wrapped up Alex's arc. That is Olivia Wilde's character.
Your mic not looking at you right?
It keeps moving.
Yeah, wrap that character up. Kind of, we find out in a couple episodes later, like, wrapped her up like it wasn't just a breakup. She just split and left town.
Well, they said that she left and went back to go be with her parents because she had gotten emancipated or something, and then decided to go back.
AKA, we're done with you now.
Yeah, we don't want to
go
play
away.
with you anymore.
We don't let exterior characters hang out on this show.
You know what's weird for me is that I felt like Marissa and Alex were a couple way longer than what they actually were in this rewatch. Whereas on the flip side, I did not remember Lindsay being around that long. It just shows you how little of an impact Lindsay left on me.
On the flip side for me, it's like
of this show.
I didn't even remember Alex as a character existing.
Like, she almost was sort of with Seth, it seems like, longer than she was officially with Marissa, which is weird because I always forget that she had a thing with Seth. And maybe it's just because when Alex and Marissa got together, that was such a, like, groundbreaking moment in TV where you had your lead female get with another female character.
Sure.
I definitely think this show kind of dropped the ball by never really exploring Marissa's sexuality again. It was just like, did she get with Alex to Loki, even if she didn't realize what she's doing? Was Alex really this week's gardener, like Julie said? Was she ultimately doing it to tick off Julie? Or do you think she really felt something for Alex, or maybe a mix of both?
I think it was a mix of both. I don't think that...
I think she was a little lonely.
Yeah, I don't think if she didn't have any kind of feelings towards Alex whatsoever, that would have been the direction she went. Like, she could have found a guy to fulfill that role.
I definitely think there were feelings there.
Yeah, I agree.
But probably a little bit was because she at that point was really irritated with her mom and was just wanting to get out of there. I know in the mall episode, she admitted that she still had feelings for Ryan. And I think part of it was that Ryan, was with Lindsay. She and Alex were connecting. And I do think there were actual real feelings there. But I do think, her moving in with Alex, taking that step, that was to, get away from her mom.
Correct. Caleb, get away from her mom. Get away from Caleb.
The gruesome twosome.
Yeah.
So we have that storyline kind of wrapped up. Alex does, threaten Ryan. Everybody's always threatening Ryan, man.
She's going to pick a fight with Ryan.
I know. And Ryan's not going to hit a woman, so it was just...
I mean, he gets in her face and threatens her back.
But he doesn't get physical with
No,
her.
he doesn't, but...
She instead, hires 2, thuggy guys to come, beat him up, and Marissa's like, what are you doing? Because he and Marissa were working together at the bonfire to put the bonfire together.
She did. Oh, that blended together in my mind with what Caleb did to the guy that was blackmailing Julie. I thought you were 2 thuggy. I was like, no, that's what Caleb did. No, you're right.
Both.
She found 2 punk guys to come beat up Ryan.
Yeah. Talk about bonfires. I thought bonfires was just like a pile of wood. These rich kids and TV shows. One, they're having the bonfire in the spring. When I think of bonfires, I think of fall. What about you?
Yeah,
I don't really think of
I don't know.
a
West Coast,
spring bonfire.
The West Coast, their seasons are a lot different than ours are.
They're very different. So, and it's because Seth and Summer are finally back together, and of course Seth, as narcissistic, neurotic as he can be, bless his heart, he's basically like, oh, well, let's get the core 4 back together. So he's kind of pushing it a little bit, and Summer's like, what are you doing? I feel like Seth and Summer, the moment they get back together, they're very, I think I'm starting to see a pattern with my ships here. Like Han and Leia always arguing but love each other. Seth and Summer, like, always argue a little bit, and I'm like, I think that's what I like with my couples.
She wouldn't make eye contact with me when she said that.
So we wrap up Alex's storyline, and you were mentioning, let's just get right into Julie's storyline. Go with her little drama. You take it off there.
What? Julie did a porn in the 80s, as you do.
She was poor and trying to make money.
And this guy came back and decided to blackmail her over it now that he knows she has
wanted
money.
$500,000?
Yeah.
So then Caleb, she finally has to tell Caleb.
Well, she tries to go to Sandy to get Sandy to help.
Sandy did help her.
He helped, but only to the point where she still had to pay the money.
Yeah,
and
because she had signed contracts when she was younger, so she was
the only person that has
way.
The money is Caleb.
Yeah.
So she has to go to Caleb, and Caleb's like, I'll take care of it.
And he's all sweet about it, too.
Yeah, he's really nice about it.
A little too sweet.
Mm-hmm.
A little too sweet.
He handles it the Caleb way. He gave no money, but took care of the guy, and then that was the wrong way to handle it, ultimately.
Well, my instantly said with the guys that Caleb brought in. So Lance, that's the guy that's like controlling Julie. You lose your headphones there, get a little excited.
Popped right off my head.
Like, Caleb just brings these kind of like bigger guys in, but I'm like, Lance could kick the crap out of these guys. And when Lance, obviously he does, because when Lance shows up at that party for the magazine
Lance
launch,
is the porno blackmailer, by the way.
Yes, I already mentioned that, but
okay.
I think you lost your headphones.
I lost my headphones during that time.
Like, Lance doesn't even have a black eye, like not a scratch.
Yeah.
So
no, he had just a little bit of a mascara mark right there on the inside of his eye.
Barely anything.
So he crashes their big
Thankfully,
party.
Marissa was gone though while this was going down, so she didn't have to see
announce the magazine they're working on. And
about Newport Living,
instead,
sophistication.
Yeah, instead part of her porno gets played on the screen for everybody to see.
And then also with the magazine storyline, Kirsten is like the classic way a true introvert fights, where she's still obviously mad at Sandy for the whole Rebecca Bloom thing.
Yeah.
And even though she says, they had that beautiful moment in the rain where they kissed, she's clearly been she wasn't even wearing her rings in one episode and claimed that she lost them, but then she puts them back on. So I think she's still a little irritated with Sandy in that way, and she's being all cagey and having this weird crush on Carter.
Oh, you don't like Carter?
No.
He seems like a chill
Carter?
Dude. I mean, I don't care one way or the other.
A good dude.
A chill dude.
A chill dude trying to get with Sandy's wife.
He just wants to drink and listen to records in his beach house.
Your favorite character of Sandy Cohen here is getting stabbed in the back by Carter. You know that Carter is going to contribute to Kirsten's drinking problem, which is going to come to a point at the end of the season. Do you not remember this? Because I do.
No, I don't remember. I am out of my...
I don't like Carter. I think he's gross. I think he's a know-it-all. And the fact that they are continually messing with Sandy and Kirsten now from Kirsten's perspective. Like, I think Sandy's situation, maybe I'm a simp for Sandy too, was Sandy had all these unresolved issues with this woman, and I think he still clearly loved Kirsten, but it would be weird if one day you had a fiance and then you never saw him again. Like, It would be odd. And then you had that connection. Like, this guy, Kirsten's never met this guy before. He's just a guy she's working with now. And just suddenly, she's like all goo goo gaga over him. But now, in the most recent episode we watched, Sandy's like, I think I could have a new friend in Carter. And Kirsten seems all weird about it, like, oh. So,
I think he knows something's up. But he
he
knows he screwed up. And so he's just being cool about it and playing along and dropping little eggs. Like, I guess he could be my good friend too,
Yeah. My favorite thing, though, was how Julie instantly, as soon as Julie she thought was out of her problem, she thought the porn problem was solved, suddenly Julie's back to noticing what's going on around her, and she's like, Carter and Kirsten, Kissing. Because Julie is a character when she's being fun and not, like, the villain. Like, I love Julie Cooper at times. There are times where I want to hang out with, like, Riverside Julie Cooper. Like, and she's just, like, giving Kirsten a hard time about it and pointing it out. I thought that was hilarious.
And let's see what else is going on. So Trey is back, and let me tell you something.
Different actor.
Oh, you killed my joke.
Oh, okay, go with your joke. Let us hear your joke.
I was going to say prison really changes a man.
I killed his joke.
You just couldn't help yourself.
I just couldn't help myself. Different
You're
actor.
a comedy killer over here.
it's really hard for me to watch these episodes, and I'm just looking at IMDb to see what we're left with. It's going to be a little bit before Trey really does the bad thing he's going to do, which is basically try to, assault Marissa.
Yes.
And knowing that he does that, and knowing how the season ends with the, what you say.
Now, listen,
because I remember that, knowing that
we got that scene out of it though.
What scene?
The what you said.
True,
I mean, it's like
true.
it was like a
SNL
old
like
school meme.
spoofed it.
Yeah.
SNL spoofed it. If TikTok existed today, that would be all over TikTok. Hey, somebody bring that back on TikTok. Start the OC rewatch. But just knowing, because it just gives me the ick knowing what he does, and it's just annoying because I think at times they want you to distrust Trey, but I also think this last episode they kind of make you want to like him a little bit too, and be
They're
like,
playing
maybe
with your
he could be
emotions.
saved.
They're playing. The writers are playing with our emotions on what we should think about him. Ultimately, he's a mirror of Ryan.
Yes.
In my mind, so in all the ways Ryan had those struggles and made the right choice and succeeded, Trey is kind of going the opposite direction with that.
Even with support.
Yep.
And I think with Trey and Ryan as well in their relationship, I think Ryan knows that it's a bad idea, but Sandy and then let's see if we can help him out for a little bit, help him get back on his feet. Marissa and Ryan are getting close again. She's wanting to help. Even Seth's, wanting to help. And I think Ryan is just not speaking up like he should.
Correct. Yeah.
I feel like Ryan should advocate for himself, and it's not. But I think Ryan sees that if he does that he's going to be selfish and he's going to take away an opportunity that he got that maybe Trey should get. Even though in his, what would it be called, his conscious, his core conscious, he knows that Trey's not the best kind of guy.
And I'll even give Trey some credit. I think Trey is aware to a certain extent that he shouldn't be here, that he is bad. He is bad for this situation because he is trying to
you
find.
Don't want any of this.
He's trying to find an apartment. He is trying to get out of there. Every time he does try to leave, somebody from the group pulls him back to keep him there.
What's that movie? That makes Walk Hard. You don't want any of this. So I've never seen Risky Business. I know the scene with Tom Cruise and the shirt that just put some old records on the shelf. I know that. I've never seen it, but apparently there's a famous glass egg in the movie Risky Business.
I have no idea. I've not seen it either.
Yeah, because Top Gun is the best Tom Cruise movie ever. One of the best movies of all time. Fight me if you don't agree. Top Gun. We love it. And we like
I've
Top
created
Gun
a
Maverick.
monster.
What?
I created a monster.
You did. You created
You started
a monster.
watching the original Top Gun sarcastically.
I did. And then suddenly it's 1 a.m. and I'm waking you up that was the best movie ever! More. And I really like the sequel, Maverick. But anyway, Risky Business, haven't seen that. But the episode 18, entitled The Risky Business, they had this auction and there's this glass egg that's apparently very famous from the movie. And I just wonder if the scene... Okay, so Trey, once again, is screwing up and he's needing money for this down payment because they're not going to let him have the job because he has a criminal record. So he takes it, but then Ryan finds out. Marissa's like, okay, I'll help you. So they got to get the egg back from the guy that Trey sold it to. So Seth and Ryan go off and try to get it, and they have this whole scene of does that happen in Risky Business? Somebody tell me.
It has to. They focused.
Did they spoof it?
They focused so much on it in this episode. I feel they had to have been spoofing that movie.
So right now, our big storylines: we've got Trey, we've got Carter and Kirsten. I don't think Julie's totally out of the woods yet with the whole.
Well, Julie and the last couple episodes, Julie and Caleb have been away in Europe to let the porn thing blow over. They're going to return here for the last couple episodes of the season, and all these storylines are going to start coming to a clash
and
together.
Zach came back from Italy. Because
yes, he did.
We actually had the meta joke against us, hey, when people leave, they never come back, because obviously Luke, Anna, Alex. But Zach, boring old,
we got all of these
white bread, dry Zach is back.
Good characters, and then they just keep this guy around.
He's perfectly nice. He's
I
just
guess.
Nah.
But perfectly nice is not what you make a teen drama around.
They're going to bring back the comic book storyline, of course. So we're going to see that play out. You're going to get George Lucas in an upcoming episode.
What is Carter's angle? with the graphic novel?
I think Carter.
Like, why is he inserting
he wrote
himself
for that
here?
magazine.
Yeah.
And he writes for the other like that.
But like, he's
famous
never
one.
seen any of their stuff. So why is he all of a sudden sticking his neck out for?
I think that
is it to impress Kirsten?
I think that's part of it, and I think part of it is to come off as like a nice guy to both Kirsten and Sandy because he even made a comment to Kirsten like, "Hey, it's not just you that's vibing with this." You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I think that's part of his angle, and I don't think maybe he's not a terrible person. It's just
I don't think he's a terrible person.
Yeah.
Caleb's the only terrible person on the show.
who even he has his good moments at times.
Yeah, but he's terrible.
But yeah, we're getting to towards the end of the season. We're gonna finish out the Treyarch, see all these storylines come together, and I guess
Then it will be on to season
happens.
3. I have not seen season 3. I don't think.
I think you've seen only a couple episodes.
Yeah, so this will be like brand new.
It'll be like really my first time doing season 3 full
and
blown.
I've heard I need to like just
buckle in.
buckle in for some depression.
It's way dark, way darker.
Well, it's good. It's getting darker outside. We'll be watching it during the dark times. So
I guess so.
So a lot of poop talk this episode. I think we may be in the clear going forward. I
hope we get an update on Sam.
I do want an update on Sam, actually. I want to know if she delivered the poop baby named Hope.
Oh, jeez.
I want to know that she's okay. I mean, obviously, you've said
She's
on
okay,
social media
yeah.
she's okay. I feel like if she's able to go,
That they should bring her back.
that they should bring her back. I think that would be an interesting storyline. I do agree with you. They're definitely going to screw with the guy that she was with.
Well, I hope that you guys didn't think this was too much of a crappy episode.
I don't think it was.
Anyway, if you want a sticker, we still have lots of stickers.
We still have stickers.
DM us. Follow us on We Watch TV Podcast Instagram. Send us a DM. Let us know if you trust us. Send us your address. We will send you some stickers. Next week, we're going to be talking some Halloween stuff. So I might also have a couple polls up on Instagram. So
yeah, we want to know what your favorite
engage with us.
We
Argue with us.
Hey, we want to know what your favorite Halloween movies are.
Movies or shows?
Movies or shows? Is that what we're doing? Movies or shows?
Yeah, we're going to talk some Halloween movies, some Halloween shows. It's going to be great.
I'm going to try and find at least...
It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie
I'm going to
Brown.
do everything in my power to find at least one Halloween-themed Star Trek episode whether it kills me. I actually don't know if that exists, but I'm going to find it. Okay. If I can't find a Halloween-specific one, I know there's one with a ghost. Beverly definitely gets it on with a ghost.
On that note, have a good week, everyone. Thanks for listening to this episode of We Watch TV, a podcast about the TV shows we watch. You can find more from Hope and Daniel on Instagram at We Watch TV Podcast. Drop us a line if you like the show, have a question, or a recommendation. You can find Hope on Twitter at Lil Runner and Daniel on Twitter at The Real Hobo Dan. Music for today's podcast was provided by Your Tunes from Pixabay. Artwork was created using the AI program Midjourney with prompts written by Daniel.